Shalom, shalom, everyone. May the shalom of Yahuwah be with you. Everything that you hear, everything that you see, everything that you quote-unquote feel, may His joy be deep inside of you. We thank you, Yahuwah, for that which runs deep, even through our veins, Yahuwah. You are our weapon that we should be intimate with. You are our song. You are music to our ears and a light unto our path. Yahuwah, cause us to go deep into your word, to understand, to have wisdom, to have knowledge, to follow the Torah, that all that you are is revealed to us. Thank you, Yahuwah, who came to rescue us. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Praise Yahuwah. I'm not sure if my audio will be choppy or not. I'm not sure what's going on with it. So we'll hope it's not. We'll just pray for that. Thank you, Father. Today we're going to look at Yahuwah is my strength and my song. And this actually stems from someone saying to me not too long ago about music in general. Well, I need to have proof. I need to have proof that it's not okay to listen to this one or to that one, or it's just a benign little ditty. It's just a little tune. There's nothing inherently wrong with it. Praise Yahuwah. He is the revealer of all things. I was reading this morning in Proverbs. I guess I'm going to preface this, if I can find it here. If I can find it. The righteous one understands the house of the wrong. He overthrows the wrong for their evil or their dysfunction. Moshe understood all the ways of Egypt. He was raised in it. We were all raised. Egypt, Babylon. Shaul, Paul, understood the ways of the Babylonian system, corrupt, that was working in the temple at the time. And he was there. We perish for lack of knowledge of the Torah, not only of keeping his instructions, but what is contained in the language of his word. That's why almost all the world is deceived, but only the elect, if they were not warriors in the family of heads, would be deceived as well. The elect are not deceived. If you see anything out there that tells you the elect is deceived, I'm going to say to you, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Moshe, David, Isaiah, Jeremiah, Yehezkel, Daniel, the 12 taught ones of the Lamb. Were they deceived? Because if they were deceived, we have issues with what we're reading. So praise Yahuwah. Let's understand more about Yahuwah. And we'll, by default, recognize the counterfeit when it looms on the horizon. So, our verse we're going to start with is Isaiah 12:2. That was coffee. And we're going to go right down to the actual Isaiah 12. Let's look at the chapter. And let's turn to it in our scriptures. That way we have it in front of us. And we can write in our scriptures and we can be looking at it. And Yah can reveal these things to us. And in that day you shall say, I thank you, Yahuwah. Have you thanked Yahuwah for rescuing you? Have we thanked Yahuwah for rescuing us? Though you were enraged with me, yet while we were still sinners, he died for us. Your displeasure has turned back, and you have comforted me. See, Eloah is my Shah. He's my Yahusha. I trust and am not afraid, for Yah, Yahuwah, is my strength and my song. And he has become my Shah, my Yahusha, my Yahuwah, who came to rescue me. And you shall draw water with joy from the fountains of deliverance. Praise Yah. Because we're made up mostly of water, right? Living water? And in that day you shall say, Praise Yahuwah. Call upon his name. Make known his deeds among the people. Make mention that his name, Yahuwah, is exalted. Sing to Yahuwah, for he has done excellently, and excellency. This is known in all the earth. Even the demons believe and tremble. Cry aloud and shout, O inhabitant of Zion. Cry aloud and shout, O you who would inhabit Zion. Do it now. You're going to do it then. For great is the set apart one of Yisrael in your midst. So again, the verse that we are going to focus in on is Isaiah 12:2. And you can see there's a couple references there to where else we see that at. And I think we're going to talk about at least one, if not both of them. Boy, my mouse on a rampage today. Okay, so we're going to start, I guess, with 12:1. And in that day you shall say, I thank you, Yahuwah. Though you were enraged with me, your displeasure has turned back. You have comforted me. H5162, comforted. Naham, a primitive root. Properly to sigh. That is, breathe strongly. Yahuwah. By implication, to be sorry. That is, in a favorable sense, to pity, console, or reflexively rue, or unfavorably to avenge oneself. There it is there. Naham. I've highlighted things in gray today. At the V, it's from right to left. It's a noon, a het, and a mem. Comfort. To give comfort in a time of difficulty or sorrow. Regret. To have sorrow for an action. When we realized, or when we realize now, that we've grieved the Ruach HaKodesh, we regret it and we repent. And he gives us comfort in that time, because we all know how that makes us feel. You can see at the 2392, you could, in the gray there's a noon and a het. That's the two-letter parent root, where this supposed primitive root comes from. There's your harmony, your het and your noon. To rest. This in harmony is to rest. The 1307, we have the noon and the het. Wow. Action is to guide, the concrete is to rest. The pictograph noon is a picture of a seed representing continuance. The het is a picture of a wall that separates the inside from the outside. Combined, these mean continue outside. We are in this world, but we are not of it. The shepherd will guide his flock to a place of water. Here is water for drinking as a well, and green grass for pasturing. Once the flock arrives, they are free to rest after the long journey. It's like practice every Shabbat. A guided journey to a place of rest, a sigh of rest. It's all along the way right now, step by step by step by step. But someday that will be the end of it. We're completely out of this world and into the gate, in through the door. That's the ultimate goal of where the shepherd is leading us. Let's see what's in the notes section down there. You may have to blow it up. While we were yet sinners, he died for us, Shah, to save us, Yahusha, even though he was enraged with our sinning. Now that we have been immersed, come to the truth, can endure till the end, by being led by the shepherd. How does the shepherd lead? By his voice, with his rod, and by his voice. It's rod. It goads, it corrects, teaches. While we are in this world, but not of it, because we recognize the voice of the shepherd. Yahusha said, "My sheep hear my voice." Verse 2. See, El is my deliverance. Let's pull that up. 34:44, right there. For El is my deliverance. I trust and am not afraid. Yeah, because the enemy would like for us to be in fear of man and in fear of him as opposed to in fear of Yah. Yahuwah is my strength and my song. He has become my deliverance. So both of those times in that verse, deliverance is Yeshua. Yeshua. Yahusha. Anyway, we have feminine passive. No, he's not a female. Participle. Let's make sure we got our English grammar terms correct. Of H3467, something that is saved. Abstractly, deliverance, hence aid, victory, and prosperity. See it down there in gray at the 1476 LD1 rescue. You'll notice everything in the L root line is rescue. A deliverance or freedom from trouble. If we go back up to the L, we see it's a yod, a shin, and an ayin. Rescue. When one of the flock is in trouble, the shepherd rescues it. He goes out and gets it. 1476 is the shin and the ayin. The action is watch, the concrete is shepherd, the abstract is delight. The pictograph shin is a picture of the teeth. Right, Donna? Used for devouring or destruction. The ayin is a picture of the eye. Combined, these mean the destroyer watches. The shepherd carefully watches over the flock and the surrounding area, always on the lookout for danger. Like, he knows it's already there. When a predator comes to attack, the shepherd destroys the enemy. Sheep are following the shepherd's voice, and when the enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy, he's always on the lookout. He already knows. He's not playing chess with the enemy. John chapter 10. Yahuwah is the Good Shepherd, Psalm 23. So Yahuwah came to rescue us. This is the one that is our strength and our song. He is my strength. H5797. Oz from 5810. Strength in various applications. Force, security, majesty, praise. 1352 JN in the ancient Hebrew lexicon. The N is strength. And the verb, which is the same 3 letters as the noun, gather. To gather together for a stronghold. At the J, we see from right to left the ayin, the wa, and the zion. The action is gather, the abstract is strong. A strong refuge as a place for making a firm and fierce stand. At the 1352, 2-letter parent root. Harmony. The action is bold, the abstract is strong. The pictograph ayin is a picture of the eye, representing knowing. The zion is a picture of a cutting implement. Combined, these mean know a weapon. We should be so intimate. Know our weapon. That when the counterfeit looms on the horizon, we recognize it immediately. The elect are not deceived. They recognize it because they are so intimate with their weapon, because he is their weapon. Okay, now the place where we're really going to dig deep. And my song. My song is Zimroth from 2167. Instrumental music, by implication praise. We see it down there at the E2, and we can see we've got a lot in that root line. Music, melody, music, melody. Talked about this some in Psalms and Hymns and Spiritual Songs. That series of videos I talked about this word some. But there's so much more. Because I just didn't know what I just didn't know then. That's for applies to us all. We just don't know what we just don't know. Unless we're willing to dig deep. So we can see there it's a whole bunch of letters and music. If we go back up to the 2124, the action is to pluck, the concrete is music, and the abstract is melody. I read this beautiful post today and someone named their cat Melody, and I just thought, oh, how apropos. The sound from a musical instrument where the string is plucked, or the singing that accompanies it. So it can be the playing, just the music, just the playing, or the singing that accompanies it, the sound of the voice. So you can have, or they can be combined, they can go together. Also, the plucking of fruit from a vine or a branch. We're going to focus on the music melody part. Benner's got it coming from the noon resh. Music is bright. Now, I understand there's not a noon in that 3-letter adopted root. Over time, we have had changes due to dentals and libels and guttural sounds. And nice, you can get crossed over between languages. Like I said before in the other series of videos, I'll say it again, he is correct. It comes from the noon resh. And here is the noon resh. The action is plow. Were there any notes down there? Deliverance comes from intimacy with the weapon. Oh, that was the seed in the beginning. The noon resh. Action is plow, the concrete is light. The pictograph noon is a picture of a seed. The resh is a picture of the head of man representing the top or beginning of something. Combine these mean seed beginning, because it all began with the seed, with the word, with each individual letter from the L to the Ta. Who knows what that sounded like? There are people out there that claim to know what that sounds like. But they've got modern Masoretic they're using to get to it. It's not possible. It doesn't look like that. It doesn't sound like that. It's not it. Rains in the mountainous areas cause a flooding of the rivers. The rivers swell, causing the water to flood the land next to the river. This is the only water that the land will see and is necessary for crop production. After the flood season, the land is plowed by the use of a plow attached to a yoke of oxen. The surface of the soil is dry, but when the soil is turned up, it glistens in the sun from the water remaining in the soil. This water is necessary for the seed to begin germination. We must have the living water. And what are we? 70% water. Is that seed germinating within us? Has it got a little bitty sprout and growed up and got becoming a full mature head? Deliverance comes from the intimacy with the weapon, which was the seed that was from the beginning. Can you hear it? The soil of our heart is dry and thirsty. 1 Corinthians 3:6-9. We plow with him as the lead ox in the yoke. He's the lead ox in the yoke. He spoke his seed, let there be light, as he hovered above the waters of the deep. And the seed germinated. Not that it wasn't already mature. It has to be put into the water. And it is the living water. It's just, he's all one. He's all one. So this song, he is my song, he is the seed beginning that produces light. So now we're going to look at how this relates to music, because we started out with the melody. I'd like to special thank you to Professor Dimitri. I'm going to butcher it, that last name. Professor Dimitri, thank you so much for permission to use your material. It means so much in this context. I don't think I've ever seen anything quite like it. Maybe there's other things out there. I've seen it. He's a wonderful presenter. You can just, I don't even know him, but he just seems like he has a very meek and humble spirit. So, that being said, we're going to talk about something that he calls voice leading. Who is leading us? What song is leading us? What sound is leading us? We're going to go to his video called The Shape of Music. And watch just a little bit here. And I sure hope this sound isn't messed up. We'll see what happens. Alright. We're going to go to 1 minute 23 seconds to 1 minute 45 seconds. And I would suggest, again, I think it's called The Shape of Music. And that you see his name there. You can Google it. This one's the 47-minute. No, that's wrong. That's a different video. I can't remember how long this one is. Go watch the whole thing. Amazing. All right, 1 minute, 23 seconds. Is it going to let me know where I'm at? Oh, it is.
Transitions between objects, about certain important ways of getting from one musical object to another musical object. So you might learn that Mozart like 1, 4, 5 progressions, but hardly ever use 1, 5, 4 progressions, right? That's more than rock music. So this idea of formalizing and thinking about transformations between musical objects is one that has gathered a lot of steam in the musical world in the last 50 years. And one of the interesting questions is, can we come up with a natural language for thinking about ways of getting from one musical object to another? And another important question is, what kinds of musical transformations are particularly important? And in the last couple decades, people have really focused on a collection of musical transformations that we call voice leadings. A voice leading is a way of getting from one chord to another. And it encodes a kind of embodied musical knowledge. It says things like, you can get from a C major chord to an F major chord by holding the C constant, by taking E and moving it up to F, by taking G and moving it up to A.
That's a unified field.
From C to F. And of course, there are myriad other ways you can also get between them like this, or you can get between them like that, and so on. And one of the things that I've had the privilege to be involved in is really coming up with a rigorous language for talking about what a voice lead is, for counting them up, for labeling them, which allows us to do things like go through the chorales of Bach and identify all of the voice leadings of the piece and answer questions like, how does Bach get from one chord to another chord? The theory of voice leading has almost infinite musical uses. It can be used to talk about normal classical within key behavior. It can be used to talk about the fabulous tricks that romantic composers use.
Pay attention.
To thwart classical tonality. It can be used to talk about ways to get from one scale to another scale. That form the backbone of a lot of what the Impressionists do, or a lot of what contemporary composers like Steve Reich or John Adams do. It can also be used to talk about tricks that jazz musicians know, such as you can replace one chord with another chord and try to play. So once you have a good language for talking about the transition between chords, the voice leadings between chords, you have a language for seeing a whole immense amount of musical structure that was not evident before, or rather, that was only known in our bodies and at the keyboard, and would be transmitted by sitting next to your teacher at the piano bench, and the teacher would say, well, do this.
It's known in your body.
But without having conceptual terms for it. Okay, so that's my note to the musicians. Now I'm going to back up and
so, in those voice leadings, we could see that just with the music, we can get a romantic feeling. We can get a blues tritone feeling. We can get, which gives us arousal feelings, and we'll put it that way, leave it at that. This movement, or this voice leading that moves us from place to place, was present without any words. That's for us here. Would they be hearing something different in Africa, in China, that would be more of romantic to them? Possibly. But the adversary knows that too. Music is leading you somewhere, whether there's words or no words, because it's like a seed that is planted. Said you sit with your teacher at the piano and you could feel it in your body. Okay, what is happening today, you can feel it in your body. He held down the C and he went and played the G and the E, but yet then he moved it up one. So you're still holding a note and you're unifying it with other notes. 1 is a note, 2 is a harmony, 3 is a chord. Now we're going to go look at, I feel like I skipped a slide, but I guess I didn't. We're going to go look at what he says from 10 minutes, 15 seconds to 15 minutes.
The repeating pattern is like time of day. Okay, so just like
time of day.
You have a circuit.
Okay, hold on. Time of day. Do we understand this is based on a movement of the sun and the stars and the pull of the moon? It's on a cycle. It's on a circle is what he's telling us, okay? Greek thinkers see this linear timeline, but it's all on a cycle. What he's showing us is he's showing us what's happening out here in the world that the enemy already has a grasp of. We can understand what the enemy is doing and know that Yah created the beauty of it first. He should be our song.
The repeating structure in it, so too does our experience of music have a circular repeating structure. And so just as we tell time with circular objects called clocks, we like to represent music with circular structures. You can imagine that what we've done is taken a line and wound it up into a kind of circle, and eventually what we're going to do
spiral.
is just take this and get it on the circle so that we forget the depth. So
now you're not seeing the depth of it.
Pitch class space. And as we go up the keyboard, we now have the repeating structure perspicuously embodied, just like Maria taught us. When we go up an octave, we go one time around the circle.
Like a spiral.
Now remember, I said that any 2 notes on the piano keyboard can be represented by a line segment in pitch space.
That's harmony.
Okay? For that same reason, we can think of 2 points on the piano, as determining a path on the circle. Only now the situation is more complicated because there turn out to be an infinite number of ways to get between any 2 points. I can move from C to D by going 2 places clockwise on the circle, or I can go 10 places counterclockwise. By the way, I don't know if you can see, but there are little numbers here, right? So we number the notes, so that C is 0, and C sharp is 1, and D is 2, and D sharp is 3, and E is 4, and the major scale is 0, 2, 4, 5, 7, 9, 11. Okay? So, the trick here now is that we can use our circular structure to record not just where we started and ended, but also how we get between them. So the way to represent these things is not just by knowing where you begin and end, but also by knowing what specific path you've taken. So you could imagine if we start at C and end at B.
Oh my gosh. The adversary knows this. And he's only talking about a note right now. They know what path will get you between these two places that they want you to be at. But Yahuwah knows what will get you between the path to get to where he wants you to be. Remember, we're only looking at a flat circle on a piece of paper. We're not looking at the depth of it right now. It's like a spiral.
We also want to record whether it was even up by 2 or down by 10, or in fact, we could go around the circle 3 times. So that would be plus 38. So what topologists call the winding number, how many times you go around the circle, corresponds to the musical motion of how many octaves you skipped as you go from one place to another. Now, believe it or not, music theorists had tremendous resistance to the idea that you want to represent transitions between musical objects, not just by the endpoint, but also by recording the specific path. Because of this is because of this group theoretical heritage, people really didn't want to do that. These vector-like things I'm talking about, the +2 and the -10, you can formalize them as vectors in the tangent space on the circle. And because of kind
Sounds
of
like
the
velocity to me.
Foot, music theorists were incredibly resistant to thinking about things like that. Okay, so music lives on a circular space, and in some contexts, what we want to do is forget about exactly which C we're occupying on the piano, and think instead about in a more abstract way where we have disregarded the information about what octave we're in. Let me just say, what I'm basically doing here is creating a dictionary of abstraction, is giving you tools to disregard certain kinds of musical information for certain purposes. I do not believe that there's any one correct method of abstraction. In some contexts, you really want to talk about this full space. It's a fact that a single chord, like a C major chord, sounds very different. If you play it down here, it doesn't sound anywhere.
See how different it sounds? Now the C major chord is 3 notes. Note, harmony, and then your chord or your volume. Okay. They're doing the same thing that Yah's done in his language. Only they've twisted it. And we're going to see that as we go on.
Here as consonant and restful, this is actually a pretty good piano, so it sounds so terrible.
Okay. That's all I want to watch on there. I just wanted you to see how the notes are on a cycle. And it's all on a cycle. So 2 points on the piano determines the path on the circle. Okay? That's the path, or the quote-unquote line segment that's just been turned into a circle. It looks just like your 2-letter parent roots in Benner's book. Yahuwah is one. He is each and every pictograph. He is each and every sound and note in its perfection. And when you put 2 together, like you see in Benner's book, you have a harmony. And when you have that harmony, then you can make that chord where you get that 3rd letter that produces a volume, like a tetrahedra. I'm trying to make a triangle here. Am I doing a good job? Hey, there we go. I got a triangle. No. It looks like. Don't make me say it looks like a pyramid. Come on now. Don't make me say it looks like the grid. Don't make me say it looks like the nodal points. Same thing happens with your DNA. Same thing happens in music. I'm going to read a quote here. Yes, this guy was an alchemist. But we can understand the ways of the wrong. And when you understand the ways of the wrong and what they're doing, for me, I see Yahuwah so clearly. I see Yahuwah so clearly. Let's see if I can find it. I thought I marked my page, and I did. I just want to show you that this comes in other cultures as well. Do I think we should be worshiping other mighty ones? I do not. So if you're going to try and run with that, well, there you go. I do not. But if there wasn't some truth in these other things, the lie wouldn't be any good. There's a little bit of truth. Well, there might be a whole lot of truth and a little bit of lie. Anyway, this comes out of the book by Joseph Farrell with Scott D. DeHart. It's called The Grid of the Gods. And it's just a quote. It's on page 275. The materia prima are the one, are the singularity. It's Yahuwah's one. And this is what Mr. de Lubitz said. The Chinese sages said 1 always equals 3. The Egyptian sages placed the triad at the origin of each line, as they placed the triangle at the origin of the geometric forms. 2 irreducible magnitudes are necessary to determine the third. The sages have never taught otherwise. Yahuwah's one. He's each and every letter. But here, we have to have the 2 letters unified to create a harmony for us here on the earth. These 2 irreducible magnitudes are this line segment where these points are necessary to determine the third. Each 2-letter parent root is necessary to determine the 3-letter child roots under it. No, Yah is not male and female. He's each and every letter, and he's spirit. And a spirit isn't male or female. Do I know he came as male? Of course I do. It's a picture. This is all a picture. Like, how many times have I said that? Okay, so I would suggest, in as far as the DNA part is concerned, you go to YouTube, you look up the Solari report, and there is the name of the video that I suggest you watch. Beautiful on the DNA. Just beautiful. And the suggested book was the one I just read from. There's nothing the matter with reading it. Absolutely nothing. Don't be drawn away by it. Make sure you are so firm in the ways of Yahuwah, so firm in your love for Him, following His commands, and the testimony of Yahusha, that even when you see these things, they don't draw you away. You ought to say, oh, Yahuwah, thank you for showing me the truth. Oh, where's my... Okay, so do we get the picture? Do you see the triangles? Do you see the notes on the triangle? I wonder why we didn't look at that yet. Well, I guess we needed to look at this first. Do you see it over the earth? in the first picture? Do you see it in the Skynet? Not Skynet, that's from the movie Terminator. Starlink, might as well call it Skynet. Right there. Do you see it over your brain? Yeah, there's a few squares in there. I see that. Well, yeah, I'm not sure about some of those points. But, nonetheless, do you get the picture? Who are we listening to? Whose cycle are we on? What sound are we listening to? The shofar? Let me tell you something beautiful. I don't know if I have it in here. We get our English word spiral from the Hebrew word shofar, at least according to Benner, and I think he's got it correct. Okay, moving on. Okay, so now we're going to go here. We already looked at that. We don't have to do it again. I guess I thought I needed to go further to begin with. We already looked at that. The tritones that are used by jazz and blues players. Shut the words off. Listen to the music. How does it make your body feel? What's known in your body when you feel it? Is it driving you to Yah when you hear it? Without the words. Don't listen to the words. Well, I would say don't listen to it at all, but if you need to have a sample. What about romantic music? Shut the words off. How does it make you feel in your body? Like you want to be romantic? Because the adversary will use whatever emotion he could get to rise in you. Isn't that interesting? Okay, so we're going to look at 14 minutes 51 seconds. Obviously, that's what it says. You see that, Zobia? To 16 minutes 52 seconds. 14:51. Let's see if we can go find it. Oh, we already listened to part of it. Well, let's continue on. Let's see what else he says.
Applications where we don't want to live in this circular space, but on the other hand, there are plenty where we do. And so, what I try to do is provide a whole set of different packages of abstractions that you can use depending on what your purposes are. Okay. Now, before we leave this, I want to just talk for a second about what musicians mean when they talk about melodies. One of the essential characteristics of a melody is that it tends to move by relatively short distances on this space or this space. What it is to be melodic is to move around by relatively short distances. If you move by too far, you lose the sense of something being melodic, and in fact, your brain can start to create multiple melodies. I was playing a single note at any one time, and a computer might have thought of that as a melody. But what your brain tends to do is cluster together the notes that are occupying the same region of musical space. So one of the things that really contributes to our sense that we're listening to music and not random notes is this moving by short distances on either of those two spaces. So I just want to put that out there as a kind of central preoccupation of We're not just going to fall off the wagon in a moment's notice. We have to be. It's a slow fade. It's a melodic melody. And Yahuwah wants you to hear his melody and his cycle. It doesn't. The adversary
wants to move you along, and he's going to try to imitate that as best he can. But really, in the end, it only leads to chaos, as you heard. So we've got this voice leading. We got the voice of the adversary trying to lead us, and we've got the voice of Yahuwah trying to lead us. It happens, we saw in the root line for the word, the playing of a musical instrument or the singing of the song that goes with it. Because really we're all singing. We think of it as a melody. It's about what's in our heart as it comes out of our mouth. Is it a beautiful song unto Yahuwah? Is it his song? So I wanted to look at the word voice because he called it a voice leading. And I think he is about as correct as it gets. So down here we see it's 1426 JN. We see voice, the sound of the shepherd. Can we hear his voice? A musical instrument that can be played. The wind, Yahuwah. That would be breath. What do you use when you sing or you speak? Your breath. Thunder, etc. At the J, we see from right to left, it's a kuf, a law, and a lamb. The concrete is voice. The call of the shepherd to the sheep who knew him by sound. When it came time to move, he would call them, and they would quickly gather to him. At the two-letter root, right to left, a kuf, and a lam. The action is gather, the concrete is shepherd. The pictograph kuf is a picture of the sun on the horizon. Just like her clock, just like the time of day, it goes round and round and round and round. Here's a note at this point of the day. Here's harmony at this point of the day. Here's our chord at this time of the day, over this time and this place and at this location. It works just like music. It works just like a unified field. His ways are all in harmony with him. And the gathering of the light. Are we gathered to the light? What did he speak? Let there be light. The lam is a picture of a shepherd's staff representing authorities. Combined, these mean a gathering to the staff, or a goading, or a correcting, or a teaching, or a staff, or a shepherd. Is the cycle that we're on, and the notes that we're hearing, and the fact that he's our song on the cycle of Yahuwah from day to day, like a bridegroom coming out of his chamber. That's what he called the sun. Am I saying we should worship the sun, mighty one? Don't be ridiculous. Of course not. It is a picture. The enemy has instilled in man the picture. Gets it. How Yahuwah works. When the shepherd called the sheep, he came swiftly to them. Now, maybe they got a swat on the butt with the staff of correction. Maybe he went out and got him, pulled him back in with his staff. Get back on the path. The staff of the shepherd was his tool of authority. Oh my. With it, I didn't even know this was here. Right, Stephanie? With it, he would direct, discipline, and protect the flock. This is where we get our word call. Why we get clown? Yeah, that probably goes with the adversary's voice, eh? That's what we got in English, clown and call. Bunch of clowns, huh? On time, every time. So intimate with him that we're always on the mark. We're on time. on time. That's the word time, is the ayin tall. We're on time every time because we're so familiar with his voice. When the counterfeit looms on the horizon, we recognize it immediately because it's not his voice. It's not him directing us, disciplining us, protecting us, goading us, calling us. Whose voice are we listening to? Okay, so voice leading. Comes from a word, and it comes from an instrument. It comes from tonality, the singing. It's all about a sound. It's always been about a sound. It's always been a word game, a sound game, a frequency game, and how it moves on the cycle. It's with the depth. I wonder why we didn't see the picture of that one thing. Maybe it's coming up later. Okay, Exodus 20. Simple, easy peasy verse. I thought it was 1 and 2. Oh, there you go. Alright. Oh, it's not where that would work. And Eloah spoke all these words, saying, I am Yahuwah, your Eloah, who brought you out of the land of Mizraim, out of the house of slavery. He spoke that which was in order. All these words, the speech that was in order, and he said them. There was his voice. That is the voice of the shepherd that we should be listening to, because Psalm 23 says that he is our shepherd. Yahuwah, your breath. Eloah, who brought you out of the land of Mizraim, because you were bound, we were bound in slavery to the voice of the adversary. 18 to 23. We better pull it up on eSword, because I've got no idea what we've got here, because, not that I don't have any idea what we have here, but I know there was stuff in here I wanted you all to see. Exodus 20:18 to 23. Yeah, we got those icky words in there, see them? Just spit them out of your mouth. Alright. And all the people saw the thunders. Thunder is a noise. And the lightning flashes. I can see that they saw those. The noise, the voice of the shofar. A bright or beautiful sight or sound. The voice of the shofar. The shofar makes a sound. And what is it in the shape of? A spiral. A ram's horn in a spiral. Can you see the picture that he's showing you? Because the adversary can. And that's what he's using. And the mountain smoking, and the people saw it and they trembled and stood at a distance. Sounds like Peter to me. And said to Moshe, you speak with us, and we hear, but let not Eloah speak with us, lest we die. They didn't want to hear. They wanted someone else to give them instructions. Not that they weren't coming from Eloah, the instructions. listen for the voice of Eloah and become so familiar with it, when the counterfeit looms on the horizon, somebody else speaks it, we recognize it immediately. I'm not saying Moshe was speaking for the adversary. And Moshe said to the people, "Do not fear, for Eloah has come to prove you, in order that his fear be before you, so that you do not sin." So that we're so familiar with the truth that when this counterfeit voice looms on the horizon, poof, go this way, smack you that way, let me grab you with my staff and pull you this way. We recognize it immediately so that we do not sin. So the people stood at a distance, but Moshe drew near in thick darkness to where Eloah was. And Yahuwah said to Moshe, "Say this to the children of Israel. You yourselves have seen that I have spoken to you from the Shemayim." He was willing to speak to his people. The voice of a shofar. Isn't that beautiful? You do not make besides me mighty ones of silver. You do not make mighty ones of gold for yourselves. You throw your silver and gold in the street. Anyway, is that who we're listening to? That is the voice. He wants us to hear his voice. The voice of the shofar. It's a spiral. You hear that note? That was a noon. You hear that note? That was a resh. You hear how they harmonize? Let's go back to that. Oh, I don't have it up here. Alright. I guess we won't go back to it. I don't think I have that book in here. Maybe I do. How do you like that? Slamming stuff around. Noon. We're going to go to the noon resh. I don't know. We're just going to do it. That was loud. Here's your harmony. It's like a lamp. Your harmony is an oil-filled container with a wick that gives off light. We're going to put a hey in there. Now we're going to call it a chord. We're going to call it a triad. We're going to call it enclosing a volume. From the flowing of a river, bright, the glistening of water as it flows. That's what this section, I guess for lack of a better word, or this point on the spiral in the cycle, as it lays over something else, like DNA, like one word upon another word, like frequency upon frequency in the magnetism of the time of day. That's what it looks like. I don't know if I explained that very well. Some of you may get that. Psalm 68, 32 to 35. sing. These people that are singing to Yahuwah are pressing that which was from the beginning, the seed beginning. That's what they're pressing. We're not going to do this root line, so I'm not going to go there. They're the remnant. Sing to Yahuwah, you reigns of the earth. Are we going to reign as kings and priests? Is he saying, all you people coming out of Mitzrayim up above, Cush, sing to Elohim, press the seed that was from the beginning. Come out of her, my people, whether it be Egypt, Babylon, any of these nations. You reigns of the earth, sing praises. What? Sing. Make music. Make a melody. Sing a song. To Yahuwah. To him who rides on the heaven of heavens, which were of old. East, ancient, who was from before. It's the kuf in front of the blood. It's the bridegroom coming out of his chamber, like the sun. Sing to him. It's the sun on the horizon. It's the gathering to the light. See, he sends out his voice. See his voice? He's sending out his voice. Do you hear it? Is it like the sound of the shofar? Let me not say that. Is it like the sound of the shofar? Is it like music? Is it like a melody that you know in your being? Do you... It's not just the frequency and the melody that's in the air. It's in the words. It's in the tone. It's in the harmony. It's in the space that encloses... Not triangle wrong. It's in the space that encloses the volume. It's all the way across the earth. What kind of voice is it? It's a voice that you can be intimate with. It's the weapon that you should know on a cycle every day, every week, every month, every season, let me say that again, every moed, every year, every jubilee. It's all on a cycle. It runs. We have a daily cycle in our lives too, but all this runs like that. Dewey and Bacon. There's another one out there. I can't remember who they are. I might have the book in here. You can read about it in... There you go. Babylon's Banksters. Look it up. Give strength unto ascribe strength to Eloah. Give him come on. Apparently I like my right mouse more than my left mouse. Gift. It's a gift. It's what's been given to us. Take that gift. Be strong. Know your weapon. Who is Eloah? Because that's where your power comes from. It's being so familiar with his voice. He sent out his voice that you would be intimate with it. It's that kind of voice. That's his voice. That's the shepherd. His excellence is over Israel. And his strength is in the clouds. Oh, Yahuwah, you are awesome from your set-apart place. The Eloah of Yisrael is he who gives strength. What's he giving you? He's giving you, see the gift? Use it. Get intimate with it. Know your weapon. Because they're using every bit they can of it, combinatorially optimizing it to use it against you. But yet he's given us this gift to be intimate with him and to know his weapon, which is a song, which is his voice, which is a word. It's everywhere. He has given us the strength and this power unto his people. And where does this power come from? It comes from the word bones. What is made in your bones is your DNA. You think that's what they're looking for? You think that's what they want control of? He has given you a gift to be intimate. He's given us a gift to be intimate with him. I'm not saying don't go watch everything that's going on out there. But if we're not digging into this right here, into his language and into his word, all that shenanigans and chaos that's going on out there, it's just going to get us. It's distracting you. Is it coming? Of course. It's distracting you. You need to hunger. This is bones. Are your bones dry? You're supposed to be 70% water. Are you thirsty? Right, Donna? Right, Donna. Okay, Exodus 15, 1 and 2. If that is just absolutely beautiful in 3 verses, I don't even know what to say. How could you not want that? Exodus 15, 1 and 2. This was after they came out of Mitzrayim, passed through the Red Sea, which is a type of immersion, as we know from Hebrews. Then Moshe and the children of Israel sang this song to Yahuwah and spoke, saying. So they sang and they spoke. There were words, it had tone, there were notes, it had a harmony. It's got some of this going on. I sing to Yahuwah, for he is highly exalted. The horse and its rider he has thrown into the sea. Yah is my strength. He is my weapon that I am intimate with, and my song. And he has become my Shua. He's always existed as Shah, Yahushua. He is the deliverer. He's always been the deliverer. Are there other places in the scripture where the word deliverer or deliverer or savior is applied to a man? Yes. But they didn't save people from their sin. It's a whole nother understanding. He is my El, and I praise him. Eloah of my father, and I exalt him. Yahuwah is a man of battle. Yahuwah is his name. He is our strength and our song. Once we've gone through the waters of immersion, regretted that which we've done, repented for our sins, went through the water of immersion, he's now given us the gift, which we just saw in Psalm 68, to be intimate with our weapon, and to sing his song, to play his music. Are we making music to his ears? Are we striking the chord of our heart in melody to the Master? He's aligning music with song, with DNA, with his language. On a time clock that's like a spiral. And we're going to let the enemy play with us? Come on. Deuteronomy 4. And this is why we do not add to the word as those Babylonians before us, Esau, Edom, Ishmaelites have done, and most of you know whom I speak of, which I command you, and do not take away from it, so as to guard the commands of Yahuwah your Eloah, which I am commanding you. He's commanded us to keep his Torot. Because when we do, we're on this cycle. We're hearing his voice. It's like a song. We're singing to him, and it's his song, because he is the song. None of this negates keeping his commands. Because if it did, there wouldn't be the Noahide laws. Yeah, I said it. Deuteronomy 4, 27 to 40. Can't add a letter. Can't even add a seed. No prefixes, no suffixes, no infixes, no added words. It's not going to work that way. Well, let me not say that. It's going to work to some extent because the enemy does combinatorially optimize things. Let me turn this fan up because hopefully it won't mess up the volume too bad. Must be getting hot out. 27 to 40. Oh, that's not right. And Yahuwah shall scatter you among the peoples, and you shall be left few in number among the nations where Yahuwah drives you. And so it is today. And there you shall serve mighty ones, the work of men's hands, wood and stone, and that neither see, nor hear, nor eat, nor smell. Isn't that interesting? Parts of the body. But from there you shall seek Yahuwah your Eloah, and shall find when you search for him with all your heart. Be transformed by the renewing of your heart, that it's the fullness of the authority inside of you, and with all your being. In your distress, when all these words shall come upon you in the latter days, then you shall return to Yahuwah your Eloah, and obey his voice. Are we listening? Can we hear it? For Yahuwah your Elohim is a compassionate El. He does not forsake you, nor destroy you, nor forget the covenant of your fathers, which he swore to them. For ask now of the days that are past, which were before you, since the day that Eloah created man on the earth, and ask from one end of the Shemaim to the other end of the Shemaim, whether there has been a word as great as this, or has been heard like it. Has a people heard the voice of Eloah speaking out of the midst of the fire, as you have heard, and live? We will be tried by fire. After the immersion, are we going to press the seed that was from the beginning as Yahuwah has commanded us to do? Do we understand what those seeds really are? Do we have a love so deep in our heart to keep His commands from a place that would simply point others to Him? What is in us? And we each have to ask ourselves. None of us are exempt. What is in us of pride? We need to stop. Now is the time to stop. Has a people heard the voice? Oh, I read that. Or has Eloah tried to go and take for himself a nation from the midst of a nation by trials and by signs and by wonders and by battle and by a strong hand and an outstretched arm and by great and fearsome deeds, according to all that Yahuwah your Eloah did for you in Mitzrayim before your eyes? You have been shown it, and know that Yahuwah Himself is Eloah. He is the power. There is no one beside Him. There is no other voice His sheep listen to. His sheep hear His voice. We have to understand the words that are spoken. I concur. But inside of our bodies, just like when Professor Dimitri talked about sitting at the piano, there were no words when he played, yet we could hear that that was romantic music and how that would make us want to move in that direction. Yahuwah has combined all these things on His cycle to the end of days that we might endure until the end. Some music is very tricky. It's very tricky. And if it's not driving you to Yahuwah, it's trying to take you the other direction. There is no gray area. Hence the reason my slides are black and white. You may have noticed I highlighted some things in gray just for that reason. There's no gray area. It's black and white. Psalm 103, 20 to 22. Bless Yahuwah, you His messengers. Hello. Mighty in power, who do His word. Listening to the voice of His word. Bless Yahuwah, all you His hosts, you servants who do His pleasure. Bless Yahuwah, all His works in the places of His rule. Bless Yahuwah, all my being. Are we listening to it so we can do it? There's a way in which we speak to people, and it kind of plays right into the music. There's a tone of voice. Right place, right time, right tone. The right words, but sometimes it's not about what you say. It's about how you say it. It's about the tone of voice you use and the voice leading that you bring forth. Because if your voice and your tone and the striking of the chord in your heart is not leading them to the Master, it's wrong. It's wrong for you. You're wrong. I'm wrong. We're wrong. Does Yahuwah ever use that? Yeah, okay. I'm not saying you can't take what's wrong and use it to turn someone in the right direction. Because he may wake him up and say, that wasn't right. This is about, it's about him and then others and then us. I got it. We got the joy thing going on. We got the yoy because there wouldn't be a J, but it starts with us. It starts with our intimacy with him. How are we going to teach others to be intimate with him if we're not intimate with him? Okay. This is on a YouTube channel called Crow Free Media. Previously, Michael Tellinger had given me permission to use his videos. At least these couple. As great researcher, has a wonderful, I guess I'm going to call it a project. It's called Ubuntu. And it's the way we as Hebrews ought to be living. We that love Yahuwah ought to be living the way that this man is teaching people to live. Great presenter. Appreciate his research. Amazing research. This video is a long video. It's worth every minute. It is worth every minute to watch it. Check out his website. Kind of understand a little bit, even if it's not possible where you're at to do it, Ubuntu, maybe it's possible in some fashion, even with a small group. So we're going to go to Hidden History by Michael Tellinger. We're going to listen to 3212. Oh, that's not what I want.
Good evening. Thank you for coming to the fifth.
Okay, I'll make this a little bigger so we can see it. Maybe. $33.40. All right.
All creation stories, no matter where you go, no matter what culture you look for, whatever part of the world you go to, sooner or later, in the creation and stories of origins, you'll find those words: sound, vibration, resonance. It's quite spectacular. It's like clockwork. In Christianity, we have the Word. God said, "Let there be light," the Father of the beginnings. In Hinduism, we have the Om or the Aum, the primordial source and resonance of things. The Egyptians believed that the universe was sung into creation. The Hindu creation story is fantastic. Everything was so peaceful and silent that Vishnu slept undisturbed by dreams or motion. From the depths, a humming sound began to tremble. Om, Om. It grew and spread, filling the emptiness and throbbing with energy. The night had ended. Vishnu awoke. It's just a much more dramatic and visual version of God said, "Let there be light." And then we realize that all this stuff can very quickly be connected to our understanding, or our very, very childlike understanding at this stage of sacred geometry and the so-called 6 days of creation, how all that fits together.
It's a common theme. Am I saying we believe in Vishnu? No, so don't say I did. Am I saying that we're in Egypt? No, we're supposed to come out of Egypt. Not saying that. It's all tied together. We need to resonate with his voice, on his cycle, the sound that is heard, the frequency that is produced. You can feel it in your body. Why? Because you're 70% water. In the natural, you can feel it. In your spirit, if you have the Ruach HaKodesh, that unknowing knowing that resides in your gut, that's why we call it a gut feeling. If you have that, you know what I'm speaking of here is the truth. He originally spoke what they could understand in his language. They could resonate with it. He gave Adam these pictographs. Note, 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 note. Harmony, 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 harmony. Now I've enclosed the volume all the way across, and I've run it on a cycle. It's in the Shemayim. There's a witness. And on the earth, there's your witness. And what we do on earth will be written in the Lamb's Book of Life in the Shemayim. They're connected. Lots of people can't hear these words because they don't resonate with his frequency. They can't hear his word. They don't know the feeling in their body because the enemy's got them so busy running with music and emotions. This is how I feel. There's nothing the matter with that because it makes me feel like this. Knock it off. He's got you hook, line, and sinker if you're there. So it goes with music and sound and playing of instruments. The difference between speaking and singing is simply the flow. Make music of the scriptures, and it will stick. Oh, I forgot about that. Once went to I'll tell you real quick. Once went to a conference, and paid some money for it. And the one thing, I got one thing out of it, but that one thing was worth every penny of it. If you make music to the scriptures, pick a couple verses, make a song of it in your heart, a melody to the master, it will stick with you. Music sticks with you. How many of us remember Old MacDonald? How many of us remember bingo? All those things we learned. How many of us remember the songs, the vibration and the word, the vibration in particular, of the songs that we heard in our rebellious days? We remember if we go back there. There's a reason why. Because the adversary knows. Once you resonate and once you vibrate with it, you've resonated and vibrated with it. I don't know what else to say. All right. That's enough on that. 1 Samuel 16:14-23. And the spirit of Yahuwah turned aside from Shaul, and an evil spirit from Yahuwah troubled him. Yahuwah let the spirit come. He didn't send him dysfunction. He allowed it to happen to him, because that's what Shaul wanted. And the servants of Shaul said to him, Look now, an evil spirit from Eloah is troubling you. Please let our master command your servants who are before you to seek out a man who is a skilled player on the lyre, on the harp. Let's look at it real quick. 1 Samuel 16. It's a cunning player. See, he knows. He has knowledge. He knows. Who knew? Daoud. What did Daoud know? How to play. How to make music. The bright sound of music. I think we're going to go look at the two-letter root that this comes from. On the harp. Where does that come from? The noon resh. Music as bright. Oh my gosh. I gotta stop hitting that right mouse, huh? He was intimate. The door of the eye is to know. Like Adam knew Hawa. He was intimate with how to play on the harp. He knew the vibration to play. He knew how it all fit together. At least in that situation. We know Daoud sinned on down the road. So he must have got out of resignation, or that's all I could say. But he knew in this situation. What was going to resonate. And it shall be that when the evil spirit from Eloah is upon you, that he shall play with his hand, and you be well. And Shaul said to his servants, that's a body part, please get me a man that plays well, and bring him to me. He must play Tob. Yeah, he plays Tob. Yatob, maybe. And one of the servants answered and said, Look, I have seen a son of Yishai, the Bethlehemite, Bethlehem, the Bethlehemite, who knows how to play a brave one, a Gibor, someone who is in the family of heads, a warrior. There's an example for you. A man of battle and skilled, understanding in words. Not only was he intimate with how to know how to play the harp, he had an understanding of words, of Debar, and a handsome man, and Yahuwah is with him. So Shaul sent messengers to Yishai and said, Send me your son Daoud, who is with the sheep. That's where a good shepherd should be. With the sheep. Teaching them these things. And Yishai took a donkey loaded with bread, and a skin of wine, and a young goat, and sent them by his son Daoud to Shaul. And Daoud, I wonder why he brought him those gifts. And Daoud came to Shaul and stood before him, and he loved him greatly, and he became his armor-bearer. Shaul therefore sent to Yishai, saying, Please let Daoud stand before me, for he has found favor in my eyes. And it came to be, whenever the evil spirit from Eloah was upon Shaul, that David would take the harp, El to the Taw, and play with his hand. He would take everything from the El to the Taw, put it on the harp, and play it with his hand. The El to the Taw is the seed, because it's the word. It's each letter, it's each note. Made a harmony, I'm sure. Made a chord, I'm sure. Then Shaul would become refreshed and well, and the dysfunctional spirit would leave him. Daoud played music. Can I say whether he sung anything with it or not? I cannot. He had an understanding of words. Did he understand enough to know how to play, and that's all he needed and didn't? I don't see him singing here. But I don't know. But he was playing music. I personally think he was just playing the harp, because the music is it's the vibration. I don't think any words were needed. I mean, he wasn't trying to get Shaul to obey a command. He was just trying to ward off this dysfunctional spirit that Shaul allowed to come on him. Alright, now we're going to look at this article. I suppose. Let's see if I can pull it up here. Okay, this was an article at imag.pub. I'm not going to put it on the screen because it's by Pelagia. It's in the Pelagia Research Library, Asian Journal of Plant Science and Research. And it doesn't say in here. I'm going to use it for educational purposes. Effects of sound on the growth of plant. Plants pick up the vibrations. We are supposed to be a seed, and then a sprout, and then a stalk, and then a full head, like in the family of heads. Here's the abstract. Just like humans, plants react to the attitude they are exposed to. Hello. Hear that voice leading? Do you hear that tone? They are also sensitive to heat. You hear all that? Cold, light, and noise, just like humans. This project is intended to prove the hypothesis that plants pick up on the vibrations, and it does affect plant growth. We do pick up on the frequencies. We do pick up on the notes and the harmonies and the volume in their correct time and place as they overlap. Plants pick up the hypothesis. Plants pick up the vibrations and helps plants grow accordingly. And playing ancient Indian tradition chants helps plants grow better and faster. Method. Seeds of plant vigna or radiata were selected due to their relative fast growth. Seeds were then potted and housed in an ambient condition, which were regulated in 3 different environmental chambers, completely covered by glass and made soundproof. One chamber was used as a control for the plant to keep in silence. The second plant was provided with the Sanskrit Indian traditional ancient chants, and the third plant was provided with discouraging words. And mind you, a plant can't understand words. Each chamber was provided with equal amount of water and light energy, and a recording was being played for 2 hours on a daily basis for each chamber. The elongation of the shoots and the axis length of the leaves were being recorded. Results. Variable growth of the shoots and leaves were being observed, with the highest length of the plant shoot measured were from the plants provided with the Sanskrit ancient Indian chants. Conclusion. It was seen that the plant exposed to the Vedic chants showed the maximum elongation of the shoot, which clearly states that subjecting plants to the Vedic chants helps the growth of the plant in a significant manner. Am I saying we should start doing Vedic chants? No. Am I saying that the frequency and the sound and the vibration of Yahuwah would make a plant grow to its fullest potential? Yes. Yes, I am. And you can go read the paper, you can read the results. It's got some other interesting stuff in here. Since the plants pick up the sound waves through protoplasm, the frequency and intensity of the sound waves does matter, as seen in the experiment that the ancient traditional Indian chants, high frequency, makes a remarkable change in the growth of the plant, helping the plant grow better, and also helps speeding up the germination process. Also, to be considered that these kinds of music can be played in plant nurseries to speed up the germination and also in the production of healthier plants. Whole point is to tell you that it has an effect. I'm not saying go do Vedic chants. I think most of you know I'm not saying that. What do you think the adversary's doing? Let's go see if we're going to look at this word. Oh, gosh, I'm so sick of that thing. Apparently we're not. So, we're going to take a quick look at it here. 1 Samuel 16. He was a cunning player. Nakan. Figures. I didn't write down the deal. I'll just tell it to you. It's going to have to be the way it's going to be. No, I can find it. Comes from a noon gam, as you can see right here in Benner's book, The Bright Sound of Music. And if we go to the lexicon, we're going to be taking a break here shortly. But I'm going to let this run because I don't want to put together two parts later. It's on page 180 in Benner's book. It's number 1302. Noon gam is the morning, the warm touch of light. That's where it comes from. It's like it dawn. What comes in the morning? What starts off the morning? Dawn. And the warm touch of light. After you've come out of a good night of delta sleep. The rising of the sun is Shakar, and the breaking of daylight, which is the action, is Bakar, Boker. Bakar, Boker. This is the warm touch of light in the morning. Right. In the morning we get the dawn. And then we go into the morning time. So the sun has started, it's come up on the horizon. And now we've got the morning warm touch of light. It all started with the dawn. Did I say after a full night of delta sleep? Hopefully. Hopefully a good one. That was produced by Yah. And not the adversary. Okay. Next, we're going to go back and watch Michael Tellinger. But before we do that, we are going to take a little bit of a break here. So you can always fast forward in the video. And we'll be back in just a little bit. Praise Yahuwah. Okay. Yep. All right. Next, we're going to watch again a little bit of Michael Tellinger. Maybe if I can pull my chair up. It's a beautiful Shabbat, isn't it? It's a great day to just take our time. Oh, look at my note down there. Town can make light. I wonder if that was meant for this slide. Somehow I don't think so, but alright. Michael Tellinger. 4240 to 4940.
Ancient technology will reveal how incredible sound is. But for us to understand ancient technology, we have to understand the source code. And the source code is what I refer to as the primary frequency, or the primary resonance, the breath of the Creator. If we don't understand the source code, we'll never understand how it all fits together.
If we don't understand the source code, if we don't understand each and every pictograph, from the L to the Ta, if we don't understand how it works in harmony, if we don't understand how it encloses a volume, if we don't understand how it works on a earth grid, sky grid level, we don't understand how it scales down and works inside our DNA. If we don't understand the L to the Ta, we can't understand. We just can't understand.
And in there lie the answers to all of our sciences, all of the quantum physics, all of the astronomy, all of the spirituality, all comes from this. So let's look at a few aspects of sound. Sound levitates, it boils water, it creates light, it creates DNA. Sound heals and destroys pathogens. Sound moves beyond the speed of light, one of the best kept secrets in physics. And sound makes things disappear, makes things invisible. And it energizes water, and the air we breathe is the sound as well. And it's a precursor to electromagnets. So God said that there be light. So first there was a resonance, and then the electromagnetic universe, as we know, came into existence. So we all understand the cymatics, the fact that sound manifests and creates physical shape and physical form. So just to remind you, our sound can manifest itself, this invisible thing that you can't see coming from our mouth, this invisible thing creates physical form, it can manifest into physical form. Let's just look at it again. In case you haven't seen this before, just watch the volume on this. Could be quite loud. Every frequency as well as
Every frequency has its own shape. I think that's what he just said. Sound has a shape. It's the shape of music. What I find the most interesting is the curved features of most of these. You can see the circles.
This is like grade one, understanding of sound. I think I'll put it down. Close your ears a little bit, serious. And the higher the frequency, the more complex the pattern. This is what you notice, right?
The higher the frequency, the more complex the pattern.
So it's very important to realize and recognize that. And eventually you'll get to frequencies that you cannot hear with your ears, and yet the patterns keep changing.
And then it'll get to frequencies that you can't hear with your ears, and the patterns keep changing. There are frequencies that we can't hear with our ears, whether they be too low or too high, that change the pattern. What the adversary has created out here, while it looks simple and seems simple, it's not been a simple thing. There's a psyop within a psyop within a psyop within a psyop within a psyop, outside of a psyop within a psyop.
They'll continue changing until they get so complex that the sand, the grains of sand or the salt is too large to form that. That's what happens here. You'll get to a frequency or frequency range, especially when you get into the ultrasound and the very high sound frequencies. The sand grains are too large to actually show the formation. That's how complex and intricate this thing is. It's truly spectacular.
And what kind of sound waves are they using? You can't hear them. Do they use the musical sound waves? Yes. Do they use the sound of a voice sound waves? Yes. But there are all different ranges of sound.
But just to show you how powerful our voice is, the human voice, how many sounds we can create with our human voice. This is a spectacular example, and I just happened to meet, and I forget Eric's surname now, and he lives in Ashland, Oregon, and he's the creator of the Sinoscope, where you can actually see how the human voice creates infinite number of physical forms as you speak, manifesting physical shape with your sound and your voice. It's called the Sinoscope, and now you're looking at a 3D event, a sphere in two-dimensional representation. Millions and millions of shapes coming out of your voice. And I spoke to Eric now, we're doing experiments with dolphins, decoding dolphin language, and they actually got quite far with understanding dolphin communication now. Dolphin words and expressions, and the amazing thing is that when they communicate with each other, when they throw, for example, they throw, I think it was a duck or something, a rubber duck into the water, and they pick up the the sound that the dolphins make, referring to the duck, it comes up as the image of the duck. So they communicate with each other so precisely that they cannot lie to each other. Can you understand how incredible this is? They are referring to something far more effectively than we do with describing it with words. They're describing it with the frequencies that make up the thing that they are observing. This is far more complex communicating methodology than we use as a species with amnesia.
They are describing what they're seeing with the frequency. How do you suppose it was for Adam? When he had those pictographs. And he described everything according to the frequency he knew that came off the meaning of the pictograph as a note. And you could walk all the way around the note and see the aspects of it as it unified in harmony with another note. Anyway, I'm sure a lot of you have seen that before. That, like he said, that's just basic 101 stuff. But for those of you that haven't, there it is. Okay, so we talked about one of the words under voice was the wind. Yahuwah. Yahuwah. Can we see the waves and the shapes as they leave our mouth? Just like he just showed. Can you see the shape that is created? And how that is affecting the next person? Really, can you? Of course you can. Every idle word. Let's go back to his video and watch this timestamp.
Everyone's trying to find, everyone's claiming they're working with Tesla technology, but I don't think anybody actually understands what Tesla did. Now I've been introduced to a German scientist called Christian Lange, who found a perpetual motion energy device that looks something like this. By using the wind that goes into the device, and it starts to hum and resonate, makes a certain noise, and it makes this thing turn and create energy. And once it starts to resonate, it doesn't stop. So he uses perpetual sound and resonance to create a perpetual motion energy device. When he sent me his drawing,
once it starts to resonate, it doesn't stop. He calls it a perpetual device. Perpetuity. Do we resonate with the breath and the sound of our strength in our song?
on his device, it looked something like this, like the human lungs. And I asked him, why are you sending me a picture of human lungs? And he said, no, that's the design of my device. And I said to him, have you ever seen what human lungs look like? And he said, no, not really. So I quickly went online and I downloaded this picture here and I sent it to him and he was amazed. That his device looks just like the human lungs, with a diaphragm, and trachea, and alveoli, and it suddenly hit me. Oh my God. That's what happens in our lungs. The air we breathe goes through a very distinct process of speeding up and making a sound. There's a sound we make when we breathe. It is not a quiet process. When the air goes into the trachea and moves through the pipes, ever decreasing size of pipes until it reaches the alveoli, it keeps speeding up. It speeds up and speeds up and speeds up until it reaches the alveoli. By the time it reaches the alveoli, it's probably moving at hypersound speeds, possibly moving beyond the speed of light. I'm not saying it is, I'm saying possibly. And this is really exciting because we suddenly realize what happens in our lungs. It is actually the sound of the air that energizes the oxygen. Otherwise, this doesn't make any sense what happens in our lungs, because we tell the university that, well, we need oxygen, we use oxygen, and oxygen is what feeds us with energy. So, well, what about the oxygen that feeds us with energy? Because we don't use oxygen, we breathe it out again. So, what happens to the oxygen in our lungs? And this is the trick. It's the sound that energizes the oxygen. And this is spectacular. And this really starts to pull a lot of this information together. Look at the shape of the bronchi and the hexagonal shapes of the alveoli. This was a huge moment for me when this suddenly hit me. Because when you see the measurements of the stone circles in South Africa, I realized that what we're dealing with here is magnetron technology generating huge amounts of energy and pushing that energy through possibly sound. There's a lot more about that, but I don't think we've got enough time here. Into these hexagonal clusters that act as lungs. And so
It's a scalar. What happens out here happens in here. It's known as a scalar. You can scale it up and you can scale it down.
sometimes there's another one where you go to channel leading up to the hexagonal clusters there, and some parts of the stone roads in South Africa actually look like this here. Look carefully, this is 5 by 5 kilometers. It's very similar to the histology of the cells in your lungs that look something like this. Okay, these are not dwellings, this is something else. You realize that what these guys are doing is not only generating huge amounts of energy, but also probably creating an atmosphere, or geoengineering, or generating oxygen, or exciting the oxygen and the components of the air that we breathe. It's getting more and more exciting and mysterious about what was going on there. It's another part of that lung, that giant lung in South Africa.
Chemtrail, anyone?
And then on the fifth.
Okay, we're not going to do that. But, nah, we're not going to do that. Okay. John 3. John 3, 1 through 8. There's so many beautiful things out here that he has placed right before our eyes. It's just beautiful. And there was a man of the Pharisees, Nicodemus. We're going to call him Nicodemus. Nicodemus was his name, a ruler of the Yehudim. This one came to Yahuwah, who came to deliver us, by night, and said to him, Rabbi, we know that you are a teacher. What do teachers do? They speak and they do. Come from Eloah, for no one is able to do these signs you do. If there was Eloah, the power is not with him. Yahushua answered and said to him, Truly, truly, I say to you, unless one is born from above, he is unable to see the reign of Eloah. Can you see the picture that the sound leaves behind? It makes an impression everywhere. Nicodemus said to him, How is a man able to be born when he is old? Is he able to enter into his mother's womb a second time and be born? Yahushua answered, Truly, truly, I say to you, unless one is born of water and the Spirit, He is unable to enter into the reign of Eloah. Because the word cleanses, because just like they went through the water picture of immersion in the day of Moshe and became intimate with their weapon and knew he was their song, and the Spirit which leads them into all truth. Oh my goodness. He is unable to enter the reign of Elohim, of Eloah. That which has been born of the flesh is flesh, and that which is born of the Spirit is spirit. What is spirit? It's the ruach. It's the wind. It's the breath. Do not marvel that I said to you, you have to be born from above. The wind blows where it wishes, and you hear the sound of it. You hear it? Do you hear it? But do not know where it comes from and where it goes. So is everyone who has been born of the ruach, of the wind, of the breath, the seed beginning that was from the beginning. And the enemy has done nothing but try to imitate that since. Does the sound made resonate with Yahuwah? It's either black or white. The sound is His. It is meant to drive us to Him, whether it be musical, a word, a tone, the frequency that's in the air. It's either meant to drive us to Him because it's His, or it's meant to drive us away from Him. Some go quick, especially if they have no root, or the cares of the world, or the sun comes up and scorches it, or the bird comes and eats it. Oh, Father. Sometimes it's a slow fade. Ephesians 5:18-21. Maybe. And do not be drunk with wine, in which is loose behavior, loose speaking, loose doing, loose music. Everything is loose. You could run no tight ship when you're drunk with wine. But be filled with the ruach, with the breath, with the wind, with the seed that was breathed from the beginning. It has been planted inside of you. Is your DNA. Resonate. The water resonates. The DNA runs through your blood. And they pierced his side, and blood and water came out. Why do you think that is? Does it have to do with, okay, that's what a woman loses when she gives birth, blood and water? Okay. Why do you think that? What do you think that's a picture of? On another level of the DNA that flows through the blood and the water that resonates in it. Speaking to each other in psalms, there's our word zamar, and songs of praise and spiritual songs. Singing and striking the strings in your heart to the Master. When we are striking those strings, we are playing what Dawood played unto the Master. It's a song unto him. It brings forth light. Giving thanks always for all to Eloah, the Father, in the name of our Master, Yahuwah, who came to rescue us, who is the Messiah. Give thanks always to the power of the Father, in the name. What name? How many names you worshiping? Subjecting yourselves to each other in the fear of Eloah. Proverbs 4:20-27. By his knowledge the depths were broken up, and the clouds dropped down dew. That's not correct. I'm in the wrong Proverbs. My son, listen to my words, my Torot, my sound, as its my pictographs, the seed that was from the beginning. It will cause you to follow the Torot and obey his commands. Incline your ear to my sayings. When it says, my son, listen to my words, it's a conglomeration. Are my sayings a conglomeration that fills the whole? Let them not depart from your eyes. Guard them in the midst of your heart, because that should be the authority that is inside of you. For they are life to those who find them. The seed beginning is life to those who find it. For they will not be deceived, because they are warriors that will prevail and are capable in the family of heads, and healing to all their flesh. Watch over your heart, the authority that's inside of you. Keep it in check, where you're striking the strings to, with all diligent. For out of it are the sources of life. Turn away from a crooked mouth. Put perverse lips. Put a perverse language. Put the perverseness, the twisting of the pure language. Put it far from you. How are you going to know what it is if you don't know what it is? If we're so busy watching everything else, and I'm not saying don't ever watch anything else, we just watched other stuff. But if we're so busy with that, we can't put it away from us, because we don't even know what we don't even know. Because we don't even know what kind of sound is coming through there that's being resonated and being planted in us, in the water in our body. Go back and watch that Solari report video that I talked about in the beginning of this. They can implant in you with sound, frequencies, waves, delta, alpha, beta, gamma, theta. Now we got lambda. That's another story. Let your eyes look forward and your eyelids look straight before you. Consider the path of your feet, and all your ways are established. Okay, unless you're standing in front of a train and you need to jump out of the way real fast. Consider the path of your feet. What did I just hear? What did I just feel? Where does that want to lead me? Is that where I want to go? Do not turn to the right or to the left, and turn your foot away from all this dysfunction. Luke 6:43-49. For a good tree, does not yield rotten fruit, nor does a rotten tree yield good fruit. For each tree is known by its own fruit. Remember part of that root line in the beginning was the plucking of fruit from a tree? I didn't realize this. For they do not gather figs from thorns, neither do they gather grapes from a bramble bush. You're not going to pluck no fruit off those. Any fruit. Well, that was bad grammar. The good man brings forth what is good out of the good treasure of his heart, out of the authority that's inside of him, being Eloah. And the wicked man brings forth what is wicked out of the wicked treasure of his heart. For out of the overflow of the heart, the mouth speaks. It sings, it speaks. There's words that come out. That obviously is a speaking one, but there's a tone. There's a flow. There's a way in which you speak to people. There's a song in which you sing. Proverbs 18:20-21. A man's stomach is satisfied from the fruit of his mouth. He is satisfied with the increase of his lips. Death and life are in the power of the tongue, and those loving it eat its fruit. Are you eating good fruit, or are you eating rotten fruit? Are you eating from a rotten tree, or are you eating from a good tree? What are you causing others to feed off of? Because your stomach is life in the Hebrew. What are you feeding on? Okay, we already read the effects of sound on the growing of plants. There is a way in which you speak to people. There is a way in which music, our frequencies, our waves, in the electromagnetic range affect us. Delta Dawn. Most of us that are watching this remember Delta Dawn, right? So I stinky-o at singing, but we know the words. Let's start with the words. Because we can't get away from them now, because how many of us remember the words to Delta Dawn? Why? Because like I said before, music will stick with you like no other. Put the scriptures to a song in your heart. So you've got Delta Dawn, what's that flower you have on? Could it be a faded rose from days gone by? And did I hear you say he was a-meeting you here today to take you to his mansion in the sky? Okay, let's start with the words. None of us are going to a mansion in the sky, because no one's ever been up to the Shemaim, except him that came down from the Shemaim. Now everybody's got this false hope. They're going to the Shemaim to be in a mansion in the sky, doing whatever they want to do. Okay? Now, if you can possibly take away the words and set them over there, and you may have to listen to something else to do this, okay? You go listen to a blues music with no words or something. Just think about the music. Does that lead you to Yah? Do those notes and those chords draw you to Him or away from Him? Oh, it's just a cute little ditty. Oh, it's just a little bit of... There's a frequency, there's a vibration, there's a note, there's a harmony, and closes a volume. It looks... It's on a scalar level. It's inside of you, and it's around you. It's outside of you, and it's inside of you. That's the way Yah made it. The adversary didn't make that up. Yah made that. There is a way in which you speak to people. There is a tone. There is a voice. There is a leading. It happens in music, just played. It happens in the words of songs. It happens with just the word that's in the song, let alone the tone that goes with it. Think about some romantic music. like Professor Dimitri showed us. You can hear the romantic music, but then add the words. Oh, doggy. Doesn't that give it an effect? Okay. So, heaven and earth are witnesses. There's a picture of, yes, what we do on earth is written in the Lamb's Book of Life. Heaven and earth. The grid on the earth matched, I think, probably in the times of the garden, the grid in heaven. Okay, we're going to watch Michael Tellinger again tell us some things about that, so we can see how important this is, because we're supposed to be going back to the way that it was, or the lake of fire, whichever. All right, 2:20:47 to 2:21:02.
So this brings us to the fact that these ancient sites around the earth are not just built randomly, they're all built on very specific energetic nodal points. The Russians know this very well. This is the famous Russian grid that describes the earth as a giant crystal. Valerie must know much more about this. We'll torture him later and get some information out of him, because these Russians are keeping secrets from us, I know this. Then I found this amazing Sumerian text on a clay tablet. It's just unbelievable that this knowledge is right there. And this is what it says. In distant days, in those days after destinies had been decreed, after An was Anu, and Enlil had set up the regulations for heaven and earth. These are powerful dudes. They set up the regulations for heaven and earth. I mean, what the hell is going on here? Who are these people? And then it carries on. Enki, the exalted known God, by the rules for heaven and earth, the fixed rules, he set up the cities.
Okay, I didn't mean to go that far. With Anu and Enki, you know, I'm a believer in Yahuwah Elohim and his scriptures. I think we see pieces of it in other cultures. They have made mighty ones, and this is how they put it. Okay, well, it's not okay, but okay. But we can even see in other literature that they knew that there was this process, there was this way things were. And that Russian map with the crystal lines over it, I think I talked about it in the Sapphire video. And what they did with the sapphire crystal. Anyway, so we could see that even in other cultures, heaven and earth seem to have a picture of being your witnesses. 2:24:01.
For example, measured that Great Zimbabwe is encoded with Enki energy, totally, utterly encoded with Enki energy. And he phoned me out of the blue and he said, I don't know how you're going to attack this, but I've detected this energy field around planet Earth at the same time that I'm doing this. And he says there's like this binary code energy field around the planet. It consists of ones and zeros. It's like an electronic binary code that someone put up there. It's no longer intact, but it exists in large patches that are scattered around the Earth. And we'll come back to that.
So they have the adversary, those that are doing their shenanigans right now, have done the best they can to piece it back together by combinatorially optimizing what they just don't have. Because they just don't have it all. Because if they did, they'd be Yah. 2:30:07. I'm going to do that. You can see that 7 in there. I just can't quite land on it, can I? Ah, got it.
And the rules of heaven and earth, this giant energy grid around the earth, has been put there by these ancient civilizations. These ancient structures, circuit boards, were the energy devices to somehow keep this energy grid around the planet Earth. This binary code that my friend Paul Kravenstein found. And this is what Morpheus told us. People are the source of energy.
That is correct. In some aspects, that is correct. Why do you think there's this need for them to feed on us constantly? Now, I'm not going to say Yahuwah's energy. I'm not there either, okay? Because he's everything. Yahuwah is every single note. He's every single harmony. He's every single enclosed volume. He's all of it in a perfect state. Is he the tree outside? No, but there's two pieces that come to unity, to harmony, to make a tree, to make its leaves, to make its branches, to give its roots. Okay? We're talking, well, we're talking about more than people here, I guess, but I'm hoping you understood that.
When you saw this in the Matrix, you didn't understand it, did you? But now you do. And why are people the source of this energy? It's because they use the sound of human voice and sound of humans. That's why they have amphitheaters attached to it, with resonating lines.
I am not into E.T. We're not into aliens here. Just an FYI. I'm hoping you can see past some of this, because he's done brilliant research. The man believes what he believes. He's brilliant researcher. He's got, like I said, his Ubuntu project is brilliant. But I think we see Yahuwah and the adversary wanting to be Yahuwah.
Pillars that resonate the sound from one to the other and then channel it into the plug point of the circuit board that starts to give the sound of the people, fill them with fear. You get them excited, they make a lot of noise. You channel that energy into, and the sound of the people activate the circuit board to keep the grid active. And there's your amphitheater activating the circuit board. And so it goes. So the question we're going to ask ourselves is, what the hell are we learning from this? This is all very exciting stuff, but if we can't put this information to good use, then let's just go home and slit our wrists. Because tomorrow morning we have to wake up and go back into the slave trade, right? We being the slaves. So what we've learned is that we're enslaved on our own planet. We live on a prison planet.
And Yahusha came to set the captives free. Because he was the seed beginning.
There are not just one energy grid around us, there are several energy grids. Again, not enough time to go into that, but the movies tell us this. They share this information with us. Remember, this is why Hollywood was created, and blockbusters were created, to bust the block of our unconsciousness.
See the doors? See the doors? That's a dal. In Greek it became a dalita. See the doors? In Greek it became it's not a dalit. In Greek it became a delta. See the door? Guess what a dal is spelled with? A dal and a lam. A dal. See the door? This way. That way. Pull you this way.
They're filled with advanced knowledge and information that's encoded on a very conscious level and a very subconscious level.
That's correct,
And
subconscious.
this information is fed
And
to us
conscious.
constantly on subconscious levels.
Conscious, constantly.
And no better movie to explain this prison to us than The Matrix.
I think there's somebody out here that probably knows this quote by heart. And her favorite character was Trinity. Why do you think that her name was Trinity? Gee, I wonder why.
Just spectacular how The Matrix told us this information. The Matrix is everywhere. It is all around us. Even now, in this very room, you can see it when you look out the window or when you turn on your television. You can feel it when you go to work, when you go to church, when you pay your taxes. It is the world that has been pulled over your eyes to blind you from the truth. What truth, says Neo? That you are a slave, Neo. Like everyone else, you were born into bondage.
So, now we need to be born from above and allow him to set us free of the prison that the adversary would like to keep us in.
Into a prison that you cannot taste or see or touch. A prison for your mind.
Because of the authority that is inside of you. That is where your heart is at. That is where our heart was at. You can't see it. You can't taste it. You can't touch it. Yes, you can see it, taste it, and touch it. But that which is visible was made by that which is invisible. Yahuwah.
Yeah, I can't put it any better than this. That's why I can't quote the movie. And here, the last section here, you have to understand, most of these people are not ready to be unplugged. And many of them are so inured, so hopelessly dependent on the system, that they will fight to protect it.
That is correct. I'm going to read from the beginning of the quote, because he only read the end. If you can't see the adversary in this, the Matrix is a system, Neo. It is the beast system, people. The system that is our enemy, who is the beast. But when you're inside, you look around, and what do you see? When you're in the world, not of it, but when you go out there, you see businessmen, teachers, lawyers, carpenters. The very minds, the very people whose heart we would want to see be saved by being immersed in the water and being guided by the Ruach HaKodesh, so that they would have that authority inside of them, so that they could think and see and hear clearly. The very hearts of the people we are trying to save. But until we do, and it's not we do, we don't give the increase. These people are still part of that beast system. There is no two ways about it. Until Yahuwah gives the increase, they are still part of the beast system and are being controlled by the frequencies, the sound, the waves, the resonance, etc., etc., etc. And that makes them our enemy, because they're his enemy. There's still a chance for them. But they stand at enmity with Yahuwah. Therefore, in that sense, they stand at enmity with us. And if they don't, and the world loves us as its own, we have a problem. Houston. You have to understand that most of these people are not ready to be unplugged. They do not want to see the truth. They do not want to know they're in this system. And many of them are so inert, so hopelessly dependent on the system and this way of life, that they will fight to protect it. And it's killing them, and it always has. Wow. Okay, we're going to go back to Professor Dimitri, and we're going to watch the video again. Sorry, that threw me for a loop. No, we don't want that. Hang on. I got to pull him up again.
Okay, thank you guys.
3750 to 4420.
Is tell you that thing again in a slightly more confusing way, but a much more beautiful way. A chord, we have seen, is a set of points on the circle, and what I call a voice leading is a set of paths on the circle connecting two chords. Mathematicians find this way of representing music with multiple points on a single circle to be extremely uncool. It is not what any mathematician worth their salt would ever do. Just, yeah. So, what we are now going to do is pass from this uncool point of view, where we are representing chords in a very intuitive way, with multiple points on the circle, to what mathematicians would call the configuration space. So instead of representing a chord with 2 points on a one-dimensional circle, we are going to represent a chord with 1 point on a 2-dimensional space. This is the configuration space of that. For you mathematicians in the audience, this is T2 mod S2. Okay, the 2-dimensional torus, which is ordered pairs of pitch classes, where we are gluing together all points related by reordering. And so here I've got a point at 0 and a point at 4, and there I've got a point at 0, 4. And when I move on the circle space, from one point to another, each note can be imagined to glide to its destination. And over there, the single point glides to its destination. And just as we saw that there are infinite numbers of ways to glide between 2 different pitch classes, there are also infinite number of ways to go between 2 different chords. And these are what I call the different voice leadings.
And this is what they're doing. They are leading you from one place to another. From one point to another. With these 2 notes or those or this harmony, and they're moving you from one place to another. From one place to another.
Connecting C, E, and D, F in this case. And this space is exactly like those old video games where you zoom off one side of the screen and reappear on the other. But of course, if you zoom off the upper half here, you reappear on the lower half, and vice versa. So this space is what mathematicians call a Mobius strip. The space of 2-note musical chords is a Mobius strip, and voice leadings are represented by line segments in this space, and chords are represented.
2-note musical chords. Oh, I just had to say that out loud.
5 points. But the really cool thing is that it's not an ordinary Mobius strip, because some of the spaces, some of the points on the space, the upper and lower points, act like mirrors. To think about this, imagine if you take C and move it up to E, and E and move it down to C. Now imagine each note gliding to its destination. And you will see that halfway through this transition, you start repeating the notes you've already heard. So, what I call voice crossing is represented by bouncing off these mirrors that are at the edge of the space. And
What was that show on Netflix about the mirrors, Donna? We should be a mirror reflection of Yahuwah, Yahusha, who came to rescue us, as close as possible. Not this which they're trying to implant us to be a mere reflection of, by their voice leading and their frequencies.
so what that means is that this is not a regular old geometrical space of manifold, it is orbifold, and those things up there are singularities, and to really deal with this space you have to do some very careful mathematical thinking about how exactly you want to represent these mirror-like points. For us simple-minded musicians, it's not so bad. We just imagine each note gliding to its destination and look at the picture in this space. And sometimes that picture bounces off the edge of the space, just like a pool ball bouncing off the bumper. And we just trust that the mathematicians are going to work out how to represent that in a nice way. Okay, so it turns out this is the space of two note chords. Quite wonderfully, it turns out that there's another space of three-note chords. This is the space of three-note chords. It is essentially a three-dimensional triangular prism.
There's your triangle, your prism.
Edge glued to its bottom edge. Any three-note chord that you could possibly play,
There's your grid.
is represented.
Smallest place, then closes the volume.
Any voice leading between three-note chords is represented by some line segment in this space. You can actually download this program from our website. You can zoom around and rotate it and tell it which chords you want to look at, and so forth. There's a four-note space, which is a four-dimensional space. You can also do funny things, like you could say, I want to not consider major and minor chords to be separate. I would like to look at the space of three-note chord types.
Tell me, that doesn't look like the grid.
Here's the space of three-note chord types, where rotation.
We just looked at the grid. We just looked at the crystal.
is factored out.
We just looked at the lattice work.
Motion,
How it vibrates. Well, we didn't look at how it vibrates, but
non-rotational voice leading
I must have looked at that at some point in some video somewhere.
So there's a whole wonderful menagerie
That there
of
is.
complex geometrical spaces, each representing different levels of musical abstraction. I think
That's
this
correct.
is my favorite one, because it packs so much information into such a tiny, basically comprehensible space. And of course, because we can actually build it. So if you go to the Math Museum in New York City, you will see the space of three-note chords. And each of these is what's called a theremin, in that you can touch it and hear its chord. And so you can play the geometrical space. There's a laptop hidden under here, a little program that plays the music of the chord. And so what's amazing about this is like the combination of music it represents. It can burble along without repeating for pretty much forever. And it does it in this package that you can literally put your hands on and walk around. So I encourage you.
So I see the triangle as a note, a harmony, and a threefold chord. He's got this as a chord, and a chord. I don't see 3 and 3 and 3. I don't see that. I think your basis is 1 because Yahuwah is 1. But you can see the picture. What he's saying about music looks just like the grid. It works just like Jeff Benner's book. It works just like your DNA. Okay, now we're going to go to his other video called the quadruple hierarchy. I hope you're all, well, take a break if you need to. I'm going to keep going. Let's go find his other video. I might have to take another break soon. We'll see.
Okay, I'm going to share my screen. I am very excited to talk today because this is really...
We're going to watch a minute 15 to 3:53.
hierarchy in which voices move inside possibly scale-like chords that move inside familiar scales that themselves move inside a chromatic aggregate, which could be a continuous or fixed space, equal-tempered, or uneven. So those are the 4 layers of musical motion that I'm going to be trying to talk about. And part 2 is that there exist simple 2-dimensional spiral diagrams representing the voice-leading relationships at each level of this hierarchy. So a little bit like category theory, I'm going to be presenting some very simple diagrams and claiming that they...
So there is a 2-dimensional spiral diagram representing each voiding relation at the level of this hierarchy. It's a spiral diagram at each level of the hierarchy. Spiral, 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 spiral.
They represent a deep logic of musical relationships at multiple different levels. And then, for those of you who know music theory, I'm going to be suggesting that if we treat chords as scales, we get a metaphysically unproblematic alternative to Schenkerian analysis, and we get some of the important analytical insights from that approach without the baggage of 19th century Germanic Hegelian metaphysics. So, and now here's the roadmap for how we're going to get there. I'm going to start by reviewing some points about scales. We're going to think about what is a scale. And then I'm going to say that chords can act like scales. And then we're going to look at the geometry of hierarchically nested musical transposition. Then to warm up, we will look at the triple hierarchy before finishing the full picture that I want to have. So here we go. Part 1, what is a scale? And I'm going to start by reviewing points I made 10 years ago now in my book, The Geometry of Music. There, I argued that a scale has 2 functions. First, it acts like a musical ruler. A scale gives us a unit of musical distance, the scale step, and this in turn defines notions of transposition and inversion. We'll get to that in a moment. Second, a scale is a kind of harmonic entity, a macro harmony, distributed in time. So it serves a harmonic function, but we usually don't hear all of its notes at once.
Okay. He's saying a scale is a musical ruler. It gives you a unit of musical distance, a scale step. It takes you from one place to another. It's a harmonic entity. The whole piece is not there at one time, okay? I agree that this is the chord. There's 3 of 3. But I think you've got a note and a harmony that make your chord.
Today's new thought begins with the trivial observation that scales are not localized in pitch either. Okay? Whereas a chord is typically a concrete object whose notes are in particular octaves, a scale's notes typically are in every octave and note. So this is a way in which scales are doubly abstract and not localized in either pitch or time. Alright, so we're going to start by just reviewing these.
Okay, that's all I wanted to look at, was just so, oh, I moved it. Just so we could see those few things that he said. Because this is his newer video. A spiral. A spiral. A spiral. A spiral. Do we get it yet? Do you understand? See in the middle picture? See in all the pictures? See it? Can you see it? They're playing for you. And they're playing you. This happens with music, and the adversary knows it. It happens in the realm all around us. We've seen this now. Everything has its own prime resonance. Yahuwah. In harmony. The tree is an Otz, it's an Ayin Zadi. Each Yahuwah has to be there. It works in time and season and place. We are to resonate with the Creator, Yahuwah. Yahuwah is not the tree. The tree is not Yahuwah. But the tree contains this note and this note. They're still they're still single. They're all him. Only the carnal mind cannot understand spiritual things. We are to resonate with Yahuwah. Get the picture? Psalm 55. Okay, right here, get the picture? Do you get the picture? We're going to come back and start with the voice of the adversary. We're going to make this part 1. And we're going to come back to this part next time. Right here, we'll start with the voice of the adversary because he knows it. Are you starting to get the picture? Do you get the picture? Sound matters, frequency matters, music matters, the voice leading matters, whether it's with words, or singing, or a frequency, or a tone, or your DNA, or the pictographs, or the earth grid, or the Starlink, or it's all run on the same system. It's a scalar. Do you get the picture? Music is very tricky. The unified fields are very tricky. They've spent a long time trying to refigure out what they lost. And they don't have it all figured out because they're not Yahuwah. So we're going to take a look at that next time. Yahuwah, thank you, Father, for revealing these things to us, to children and to babes, so that we can walk in your instructions. Because if we walk in your instructions and we are on time every time, if we are on the mark, if we are born from above, if we are spiritual minded and not carnally minded, we can walk. We can consider our steps. We can speak. We can hear. We can have a tone. We can sing the scriptures. We can speak to each other with encouragement and rebuke and correction. All things on time, every time. Yahuwah. Help us, Father. Help us, Yahuwah. Be overcomers. We are overcomers. In your name, Yahuwah. Yahuwah who came to deliver us, our strength and our song. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. We'll look for part 2 and hopefully soon. Shalom, everyone.